And precisely, currently I'm coming to you live from West Nile sub-region and specifically Arua district or Arua city, where we're going to look at the aspect of creatives. Now, when you talk about creatives, here we're talking about DJs, we're talking about musical artists, we're talking about comedians, among others. And today we want to understand what is the plight of this particular industry in West Nile region. Some few days back, we did see the head of state bumping to Yumbe district, and there were performances by different artists who were from different parts of the region. But of course, when you look at this particular industry, especially the music industry, you realize that most of these artists who sing from these different regions normally have the local content which is supposed to be consumed by the local people. And this morning I'm delighted to be joined by three gentlemen, and of course the two come from the music industry, and precisely I have Freeboy, who is going to join us in this conversation. Of course, one of his he's going to tell us what is he planning in his head. And then I have LP Shadi, who is also one of my panelists this morning. Then on my left-hand side, I have one of the long-serving media personality. He worked with a number of radio stations around, and currently he's a very big influencer in West Nile region. We want to understand, when we speak about the industry, what is the plight here in West Nile. You're most welcome to Morning at NTV Show.
Thank you. I'm called Lemati Adams. They commonly know me as Otelul. I've been a sports analyst, a songwriter, an influencer, basically things concerning creatives. I'm inclusive. Yes.
Maybe some few days back, I attended one of engagement when you were having a meeting with the ex-minister for Gender, Labor and Social Development, that is Zoba Koko. And among some of the issues that you people raised is the aspect of marginalization, unfulfilled promises by head of state, and also you raised the concern about lack of consideration when it comes to government programs. Could this be the case in West Nile region?
Yeah, definitely. This is the case. We have seen it several times that when the head of states is in Arua specifically, and all other parts of West Nile, if you look at the artists who come this side, they're different artists. And I can tell you, there is no way you can tell someone that Bebe Cool has more impact at home than Freeboy. There is no way. First of all, most people do not understand the message of Bebe Cool in Luganda. Here in West Nile, we do not speak Luganda. Only the few who come as traders and so on do speak. But you're getting an artist who does not relate with our people. Our people do not get the message. You're bringing him here for mobilization and other things. And look at the financial gap. Yeah, I'm not saying the local artists have not been involved in this. They have been involved to some extent. But if you look at the financial gap which is being created, you're hiring Freeboy to perform in front of the president for 500,000, but you've given Bebe Cool 20 million. You can see that gap. Bebe Cool may be the most famous across Uganda, but when Freeboy is at home, he is the most important artist. In fact, when Bebe Cool comes home here, Freeboy deserves to be paid bigger money. LP Shadi deserves to be paid bigger money. But at the end of the day, you realize Bebe Cool walks away with the bigger money. That's one. Two, Bebe Cool is given bigger stage time. You know, even if he wants to perform for 30 minutes, he does. But Freeboy is being restricted. You only perform one song and go away.
Maybe let me turn to my colleague here, that is Freeboy, of course, with one of his hottest song that sold over the market, Kwate Simu. Maybe, Mr. Freeboy, yeah. we did witness what happened in Yumbe some few weeks back. And people could say that you are a Kampala-based artist. Kindly justify whether I'm wrong or right, and maybe what is the notion of music and creative here in West Nile region?
First of all, I go by the name Freeboy, your lyrical Pablo. I come from a very beautiful region, the West Nile region, specifically here in Arua, where we are right now. What I can say is that I'm not really like a central artist. I'm a Ugandan artist. I want to make this clear. The reason why most of us decided to go to the Central, it is because that's where the resources are. It is like a musical hub. The Central is like a musical hub for the Ugandan music industry. For me to sing in Luganda is simply because of the things my colleague Otelulu talked about. Yeah, we have been oppressed, we are marginalized. No one thinks about us, not even the government. So they say if you want to beat the best, you need to play them at their game. Play the same game that they're playing. That's the reason why I chose to sing in Luganda, not because I love singing in Luganda, because all my songs from way back home here, they were in Lugbara and English. But you're left with no option but to just go and do what they choose for you to do, yeah? Not because you really love it. And I think there's been a movement that I've been pushing, even on my TikTok and my socials, saying that Ugandan music industry has completely lost direction, lost meaning, and lost focus. We don't have Ugandan music industry. We have the central music industry because there are people who don't want to give talents back home. Talents, we have enough talents in Gulu, in Arua, Adjumani, Moyo. If you visit these areas, yeah, you'll realize that there is music back home. There are people, there are artists that are really skilled and talented, but they are not given a chance because there is a system, there is a structure that is already created in the central that is just there to break us, to block us from not actually, eating the cake or even having a piece of that cake that the rest of these other big artists are having. Okay. Or if only the central region would realize that the West Nile has elites, it has talents, it has produced a lot of talents, yeah? Not just artists. You've heard of Nzikuru. The best boxers come from the West Nile. Best football players come from the West Nile. But our stories, our cries, our concerns are not put forward because we are not given a chance. They take us as a dark region, that what happens in the West Nile remains in the West Nile. Nobody talks about our stories. Nobody is out there to tell our stories. I have a case against MTN and Airtel. I've been crying, I've been begging, I've been calling for help, but my stories are never put forward. And I want to thank you guys, NTV, for coming through and at least giving us a chance to voice our concerns. Thank you very much.
Yes, let me now go to some of my panelists. Yeah, I know our time is fast being spent. But LP Shadi, you have been here singing and you best understand what is being in the market demand, especially when it comes to now the local content. This is the term that we now call the political period. There's a relationship between music and politics, and this is the term that we normally see now, the politicians, those who are eyeing some of the elective positions, looking for artists to sing for them songs that can sell them. Maybe I want to understand, in reference to the previous cycles of elections that we have had here in West Nile region, when we speak about music and politics, what are we talking about here in our context of West Nile?
You see, to begin with, music was a different entity, and politics was also somehow very far. But since the coming of Bobby Wine into the game, I see the two have been brought together. Now, it's not bad, it's good, because some of our music now is so political that if you're maybe in the other side, you sing for them, the other side you also sing for them. But there's a gap. Like when it is a political period like this, let us say, for instance, the president and his people use the central artist to push the agenda, forgetting that Uganda has very many tribes and regions. The Luganda language, for instance, here back home in West Nile, is not understood by anyone. In my region here, I'm bigger than Eddie Kenzo. In my region, I'm bigger than Chameleon because I speak the language they understand. You see? So it will be wise enough for the government to, for instance, if you have a project and you want something to be pushed, use the artist in Kampala for the region in Kampala, and use the artist in Arua, in West Nile, for the region, you know? And when you go to Karamoja, the same sequence has to follow. You don't just use those people. And then right now it is a political period. You went to Yumbe, you saw what happened there. They brought the Kenzos, who went on stage for like 1.5 hours, didn't want to leave. You understand? So it is so bad that they play politics that hurts us, which is not right. They play politics that really hurts us. And like I told you, even talking of the federation, there was too much politics. I was a member of the federation. From the billions Kenzo collected from government, he only dispatched 15 million for the entire region. How will 15 million help me or Freeboy or any other artist there? The majority, he sits on it, and the government supports him in that because they look at him as one of theirs. And I am even sure in Uganda here, West Nile, some of the people feel West Nile is not part of Uganda. Some of the people are calling these shots in the central government. I don't think they value West Nile that much.
Maybe before I come to you, I know I'm going to ask you people, in light of these challenges, what affirmative actions would you wish to see? But Zig, you've been in the comedy industry, and you play a very pivotal role when it comes to moving the crowd, especially as an MC. We're talking about creatives here. What is the plight, and how does the picture look like in your industry of comedy?
Thank you so much.
You can introduce yourself to my audience.
Thank you, NTV. My name is Ziggy Zaga. I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm an MC. I'm a mobilizer, so I do a lot of things. Just like my brother said, I move the crowd. I think comedy industry is one of the biggest things in West Nile. If you take in northern Uganda, the biggest market for comedy is in West Nile. So comedy is one of the biggest things in that I know, and this region to perform, because God gave me a talent that we do a comedy in English. So it's what makes us to cut across in Kampala, wherever. But in this industry, still as my brother said, the musicians, the artists have said, we really have a lot to do when it comes to, balancing the equation from the government. Now that the campaigns are coming, not only campaigns, there are government developmental programs that are coming. We request the government that we should be involved, because when we speak to our people in our own language, we speak about the government programs in our own language, I know people listen to us. When I go on stage and make jokes and do emceeing in my own language, people make noise, people shout, even if I put English in it. So we're requesting the government to involve us. It should be a regional thing. These are things we see in the other region.
Maybe Zig, as I come back to you, I know in solidarity, we're trying to look at what affirmative action could we call from government in relation to issues of creative industry within this particular region. According to the recent statistics from UBOS, West Nile alone has around about 3.5 million people. And of course, when you look at this particular population, majority are the young people who are also within the industry. Let me turn back to my brother Otelulu. You raised passionate issues, and in light of these challenges, in 2 minutes, what would be the affirmative action that you would wish to see in relation to the challenges that the creative industry is facing within the region? You can look direct to my
First of all, there should be a clear boundary between West Nile and northern Uganda, because most things, the government programs that are meant to benefit all of us, stop in northern Uganda, specifically the center is Gulu. So this has to stop. And when there is mobilization, the homeboys must be involved. Freeboy must be taken ahead of Bebe Cool. LP Shadi has to be taken ahead of the likes of Camilo, wherever, because he's in his land. And I can tell you, the payment has to be fair. That's, from that perspective, things are going to be okay. And I'm sure there's going to be happiness, there's going to be people smiling. But if they keep it like that, then it's going to be very difficult.
Okay. Yes. That is what Mr. Otelulu would wish to see if we're ready to address the challenges faced by the creative industry within West Nile region. Freeboy, what affirmative action would you wish to see in light of the challenges that the creative industry is facing within the region? And we're heading to the political time where this particular industry has to mobilize for the different political parties ahead of 2026.
Yeah. I think the points that my colleague Otelulu raised are the same points that I'm just gonna. They're the same points that I'm going to highlight. we're looking at the payment gap. Yeah, the money that the artists are being paid is really low. Yeah, it's really low. There have been so many government gigs or government programs that have come in the West Nile that have not been part of simply because of the pay, the money. They have what they call block money. That is the tendency that they always come with. They have a plan. They come with a plan or a blueprint of telling the West Nile artists. They have come along saying it, that we have block money. The block money is like 5 million. But West Nile, if you look at the number, you say the population of West Nile. And the population of West Nile, if you look at the youth in West Nile, most of us benefit off the music industry. There are so many youth who are into. But the reason why we are here is what I'm going to talk about. Bebe Cool introduced a brother from another mother from Gulu, introduced him in our land in Yumbe during the Peace Commemoration Day and said he was the best artist from the West Nile. That was a very big shame. Not only that, these people, I don't know whether they studied their geography very well. You can't confuse West Nile and Northern region. You can't confuse these things. Yeah.
Of course, this is so much interesting, but since our time is fast being spent, allow me to say that this is where our conversation is going to end. Of course, this has been able to bring the plight of the creative industry within West Nile region. Allow me to say that this is where we're going to end with the conversation. I know many of them are trying to think of how they can have new albums before this year ends, before next year ends. Of course, not forgetting that resources are one of the things that we need to consider when we're producing music. Allow me